We might have heard of Newton's laws, laws of thermodynamics, etc. But in our school or college education, we wouldn't have been exposed to a concept called power law. This power law, which is a simple looking mathematical equation, y is equal to kx to the power n, holds the key for venture capitalists in the US to choose a startup for investing in them. To put it in layman's terms, as a layman, if you had a fistful of seeds and you wanted to sow them in a farm, chances are 95 to 96% of those seeds would germinate and ultimately would yield to give you plants and hence more seeds. The power law anticipation is very different. It would anticipate that 99% of the seeds won't even germinate and that one seed will yield an entire forest. What is the secret sauce of power law that works in the US and venture capitalists are very keen on investing those startups that have power law potential? Learn more. VC funding outside the US works like farming. You plant seeds, you wait for a predictable harvest, and you grow slowly. The upside is limited, the risk is low, and the reward is steady. This is how traditional businesses work: safe, stable, linear. But US venture capital is completely different. It works like oil exploration. You dig 20 wells, 19 may turn out to be dry, and you lose money on almost all of them. But one well, just one, it's a massive oil field and returns 100 times your total investment in all the 20 fields put together. That one success pays for every single failure, and this is power law funding. And this is the mindset difference between the US and the rest of the world. Power law formula predicts venture capital returns. Venture capital does not follow normal investment logic. It follows a power law formula y equal to kx power n, where n is greater than 1 and x is greater than 1, k greater than 0. Notice that in the graph plot of y is equal to kx to the power n, where x and n are greater than 1 and k is greater than 0, that even if there's a small increase in x, there will be a great increase in y. So x, for instance, if it is the number of subscribers for a service, as and when the subscribers keep increasing, the stickiness and impact that they would have on the product is so high that they will invite others to use it, and that will in turn create a cascading effect. So here is a sample of how the plot looks like. This is the plot of k equal to 1 and x is greater than 1 and n greater than 1. Your idea can't become a winner takes most platform. You will not be funded in America. Google, Meta are perfect examples. They were not funded for what they were, but what they could become: global monopolies and multi-layered ecosystems. Google, when it was a startup, it was not funded for becoming a search engine. It was funded for becoming a search monopoly. The search monopoly gave them profits that in turn created an ecosystem for investments into Android, YouTube, Maps, ads, the cloud ecosystem. Notice that this is a true multi-layered power law winner. Now let's take the example of Meta. It was not funded for just being a website. It was funded for becoming a Facebook, which through its growth created funds for Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and now VR and AR ecosystems, a global social graph servicing billions. So this is what a power law winner would look like. The entire perception of the business is to scale globally, is to attract customers, keep them sticky, and fund them for future such businesses that are relevant to the domain. Imagine a venture capital invest $1 million in your startup. Three things can happen. Outcome A, the company fails, the venture capital gets zero. This is very common. Outcome B, it does okay, the venture capital gets 3 million. Sounds good, but it's meaningless for a venture capital. The outcome C, company becomes a power law winner. The venture capitalist gets 100 million or more. A VC survives only because of outcome C. One single winner pays for all the failures. Why only US can sustain power law funding? The US is the only country where universities, pension funds, foundations allocate billions to venture capital. Harvard, Yale, Stanford, CalPERS, they fund high risk moonshots. Other countries depend on government programs or corporate money, which are risk averse and fairly limited. The American funding system is uniquely designed to absorb failure and reward exponential success. That is why US startups dominate globally.
In our next section, let us understand what are the conditions that are unique to US, which is very different from that of China, Japan, South Korea, Europe, or India for that matter, for creating the beautiful conditions that can help creation of startups that have global oligopoly potential, which means that these companies can go all over the world and get customers who are lashed into the technology that only these solution providers will be able to provide. Stay tuned.